All right. Hey there. Good morning. It is the big agent meeting. Today is Friday. It is 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Russ Laggan. You might be asking, gee, Russ, where are you broadcasting from today? I had just arrived in a hotel outside Beaufort, Georgia, which is outside of Atlanta, about an hour and 15 minutes northeast of downtown Atlanta. And we've got an event going here tonight with some fun stuff. And then tomorrow I'll be speaking and then flying back home. So bear with me having a hotel room behind me. Again, good news is I got great Wi-Fi, so we can still do the show. So today we've got some great stuff coming up, lined up for you. And first off, let's start off with the Attraction Advantage. Okay, Attraction Advantage segment. I want to talk to you guys about something we did on this week at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we call that the 200 Club. The 200 Club was first inaugural run, which is basically a mastermind version of what we used to do, builder and leader mastermind, but we combined them into one. So we've got anybody that's under 200 people in their organization and anybody that has one or more, or if they've done Fast Attract with University, if you've done Fast Attract or have one or more, you're welcome to come to the 200 Club. So first session, Frank Panunto and I bantered back and forth a little bit. I like to give him a hard time every chance I get, and he gives back as much as I give him. And one of the things we did also was kind of get an overview of what we're trying to do, which was say, how do we get you guys to move from where you are to where you want to be? There's a lot of people that when they get to 200, man, it's like game chase. Like when you get to 10 or 15 FLQAs where people are actually selling houses, it starts to really add up. But when you get to 200, that's when life starts to really take on a different flavor. So our goal is to help you guys move from where you are, whether it's 1 or 20 or 150. We had a lady in there. She's like, I've got 180 and I'm going to hit 200. Like, let's go. Right. But a lot of the things that we do in attraction is very simple stuff. It's just connecting with people. Right. So I had them put together a list. I was like, what do you guys want to talk about? And I shot a screenshot of my whiteboard there. You'd think I'd go a whole session without bringing up my whiteboard. I wonder if my whiteboard misses me when I'm not at home. But so anyway, on that list, a couple people was like goals. Like, what are realistic goals in attraction? That's a great question, because if you've never done it before, like, hey, when was the last time you ran a 5K? Do you have any idea? If you haven't run a 5K ever in your life, you're like, oh, like, is 30 minutes fast? Is 35 minutes fast? Is 40 minutes fast? Like, I don't even know, right? So let's establish some realistic goals and things that make sense. And of course, we talked about some people are stuck. They're like, hey man, I'm at 42 and I just feel like I can't get out of 42. And their organization is stalled type of thing. So we're going to talk about getting unstuck. We're going to talk about the value, what value we add. So what value do we bring to the table? And by the way, we're going to talk about co-sponsor too, because I only know so many things. And I know some other people that know some things I don't know. So it's a great opportunity to potentially leverage co-sponsor. So I don't need to know everything. I'm not a YouTube specialist. I've got 3 of them I can tap on the shoulder and it's like, hey, this guy wants to build his business on YouTube. Boom, tap them in for co-sponsor, right? So there's a lot of those things we want to get really clear on. What value do we bring to the table? What value do we need? And then maybe we can start making some connections to be able to get those people lined up, ready to go. We're also talking about how to stack. Like somebody's like, Russ, how did give me some basics on that? Okay. So we're going to talk about who goes on, like if you got a husband and wife, how do you do that? If you got one that sells and one that doesn't sell, it's a different way to do that too. So we've got to make sure you guys get some pieces and parts. But anyway, so with that said, we've got probably 20 weeks worth of material just on that list. So we're going to be doing that first and third Tuesday of every month, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you hadn't already figured out what that is or know somebody that should be in that and they've got one or more and have done Fast Attract, let's go. Make sure that they connect with the 200 Club. So there you go. That's all 200 Club. All right. So next up, we have the one and only Ian Wheatley. Dude, I cannot wait to see you at EXP Con coming up soon. Ian Wheatley, KGCI Radio. Take it away.
Hey, thanks. Good morning, Russ. I want you to be honest with this next one. It's a big question, and it's still a little early. Do you envy the go-to agent in your market? Be honest. You know the one I'm talking about, the agent that seems to get every listing, the one that you're always bumping into everywhere. They're nice enough. That's not the issue, okay? But if you checked your ego at the door, what would you learn from them? Well, you'd learn all about their structure and systems. You'd learn that they speak with a market expertise that cuts right through noise. You'd learn that their clarity allows them to stand out in every conversation and every lead generation opportunity they create. And you'd learn that they come from abundance, helping first and delivering real value every time they talk to a customer as well as a client. But here's the truth. They're not just doing one or two of those things. They are, in fact, doing all of it. So what if in the next 20 minutes you had 6 hours of those go-to agents handing you the playbook right on your phone? So today, right after the big agent meeting, right here on KGCI Real Estate On Air, we're bringing you Hallie McCrory, Lars Hedenborg, John Kitchens, Randy Bird, and so many more. These aren't just go-to agents. These are agents that have helped hundreds of others become the go-to agents in their markets too. And it's free. Search KGCI on YouTube or YouTube Music. Hit subscribe, or if you're already on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeart, make sure you're following us there too. And even better, download that always free Real Estate On Air mobile app for iPhone and Android. Just search KGCI. Lock in today, pick one thing you learn, and use it to become the go-to agent in your market, only on.
All right, so there you go. KGCI Radio, always bringing great stuff to the mix. By the way, guys, if you guys are going to EXPCon, that's just over a month away, right around a month away right now. And by the way, Ian is in what we goofing around with him called the fishbowl. He was basically in a booth with a back wall and 3 sides that were plexiglass, and he was in there. It looked like he was in a fishbowl, which is hilarious. But you'll be able to go by and make sure you say hi to him when you guys go to EXPCon, because he'll be there live and in person broadcasting KGCI Radio right there live from the convention floor. All right, so with that, next up we have Brokerage Brief from Krista Pacheco. She's going to be talking about real-time payments. Guys, I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited about that. Take it away, Krista.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. I'm super excited to join you all today for a quick update on RTP and FedNow. You should have received an email this week about FedNow, our newest program we're participating in, designed to get you paid fast. And if you haven't seen it yet, check your inbox. What is real-time payments or FedNow? Both programs are instant payment infrastructures. RTP launched by the Clearinghouse and FedNow introduced by the Federal Reserve. And they allow participating financial institutions to send and receive payments immediately, not in batches, not overnight, not in a couple of days, but instantly. Most major banks already participate, and more, including credit unions, are joining every month. In fact, 67% of our payments, transactions, and rev share are already processed through RTP. So what does that mean for you? Bottom line, faster payments. Now, what do you need to do? If your bank participates in RTP or FedNow, then you're already enrolled. If you're unsure, you can check the official list, and you can always reach out to your bank or credit union to ask them to join. Why does this matter? Let's be honest, time is money. This is our commitment to operational excellence and making EXP the fastest paying real estate company in the industry. So I have some resources for you. If you want more information, utilize the QR code to learn about our single check, RTP, and FedNow, including checking to see if your bank is participating. Also, I have that URL so you can check out our EXP Pay Toolkit. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out to the transactions team or expert care. We are here to support you and answer any questions. Remember, we focus on precision, accuracy, and speed so that you can focus on growing your business. I can't wait to see you all in Miami next month for EXPCon. See you soon.
All right, there you go. EXP, trying to make sure. One of the things that's super important to all of you and me is making sure you get paid fast and get paid on time. So thank you, Krista, for all of that you guys are doing to try to enhance every single aspect of the way the pay system goes so we can make sure you guys get your checks as fast as possible. All right, next up, we have the one and only Leo Pareja talking to John Lee Dumas. They're talking about social media and podcast tips. I can't wait to watch that because I've got 2 podcasts going. I'm sure I'm going to learn something. Take it away, Leo.
John, super excited to have you join me. I've watched you from afar. I know we have a lot of folks in common, so I'm just excited to be able to spend some time with you. And one of the goals in all the stories that I try to bring on here is partly cover the 0 to 1, right? I think you and I are both finished products on the internet that people look up to or look into and they go, I don't get how you get there. So I also like to spend a lot of time in the, how did you become who you're most well known for? So if you want to just jump in there, that's where I want to start. And then I have a whole bunch of questions I'd love to unpack with you.
Sure. Well, Leo, thanks for having me. My grandfather's name is actually Leo. I was named after him by my middle name. They just shortened it to Lee. So definitely a hat tip to the word Leo, the name Leo for sure. And listen, I'm just a country boy from the state of Maine. Spent the first 18 years of my life in a very small town. I went to college on an Army scholarship. So I spent 8 years as an officer in the U.S. Army, did a 13-month tour of duty in Iraq as a tank commander. That means you're in charge of 4 tanks and 16 men. So I grew up pretty fast in my low 20s, at least had to have a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. And after that, I tried a bunch of different things in the traditional world. I tried corporate finance. I went to law school. I was in commercial and residential real estate for a while. Unfortunately, EXP didn't exist back then, or I probably would still be in real estate. I was stuck with some much less appealing options than EXP. And in 2012, I decided to launch the first daily podcast in the world, interviewing entrepreneurs. I called it Entrepreneurs on Fire. It was the best daily show in the world, interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the worst daily show in the world, interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the only daily show in the world, interviewing entrepreneurs. And that's kind of one of my themes that I think will come up probably a couple of times today is, how can you dominate a niche? Like, that's how winners are made, in my experience and in my opinion. And here we are 13 years later, 4,684 episodes later, 170 million listens later. I'm still doing it because I get to talk to cool people like you and Gene and other amazing entrepreneurs in the world that are just doing great things. And I learn from every single one of them. And I have a fun time doing it on my little island of Puerto Rico, where you actually get to keep the money you make, which is kind of hard to believe this day and age, but Puerto Rico, baby, the Enchanted Islands.
You told the early part, and then there's, the 13 years later part. What do you think is probably the thing that people in general just struggle with getting started, right? Because it is undeniable that content creation is a necessity. And I don't care who you are, what you do, how you do it, who your audience is. But I still see so many people get stuck on the how to or how to start, or, step one seems to be the hardest one for most people.
It is. The answer is become the number one solution to a real problem in a growing industry. If you can do those 3 things, you're going to win. And a lot of people are like, but I can't become the number one solution. That's too hard. Yes, because you're thinking too broadly. You're thinking of too big of an idea. Think of a big idea. That's where you start. And then you look for what's that niche within that big idea that's not being maximized, that's being overlooked, that's undiscovered for any number of reasons. EXP did that in the real estate world. Real estate's a huge. Everybody and their mother can be a real estate agent, like literally, and that's boring. I've been there. I've done that. What did EXP do? They found a way to make it interesting. They found a way to make people excited about being part of that company. They exploited a niche that other companies weren't willing to look into or exploit. And they've dominated as a result. And you can do the exact same thing as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You just have to find that thing. I mean, Leo, my big idea was a podcast, but that's a pretty broad topic. So what about a business podcast? Okay, there were 800 business podcasts back in 2012. Now there's tens of thousands. Okay, well, what about an interview podcast of entrepreneurs? Okay, there's 9 of those. That's kind of more interesting as I continue to niche down. But do I really want to be the 10th most popular or successful interview podcast of entrepreneurs? That's not interesting. Well, what are they doing? Or more importantly, what are they not doing that I can possibly do, that I can dive into, that I can exploit as a niche? And it came down to quantity. They were doing once a week, twice per month. That's great. But what if I did 2 a week? What if I did 4 a week? Wait, what if I did 7 days a week? And so that was what I did. I exploited the quantity niche because my show was not quality when I started. I was a terrible host. I was a terrible speaker. I was terrible at all the things, but I put in the reps. I did it every single day. I was the only show doing it. And here I am 13 years later with the scars to prove it.
So the interesting thing is so you touched on EXP. One of the early things that Glenn, the founder, thought of was, if I can get 5% of all the agents to get interested, I just created a very interesting business, right? And I think that's the part that I think people miss when you go after an opportunity, right? Like, you don't need to get it all. You just need to get enough for it to become super interesting for you. And so when you just described that process on content creation. What I'm curious to separate in your mind is, you've turned in content creation into the business itself. And when you talk to entrepreneurs, how should they think through of the differences of using the content creation to leverage the business, right? I think most people that probably follow you and are part of your community are probably looking for, how do I take this medium of human connection to leverage the business that I'm in?
The thought that always has to be going through the minds of the person who's creating content is, how is this immediately and directly adding value to the person who's listening, to the consumer of this content? So many people say, this is the show that I want to create, and they go and they create it, and they forget the part of, well, you need people to listen to it. You need people to want to listen to it, to keep listening to it, to tell their friends to listen to it. And to do that, you have to become the number one solution to a real problem. And like, when you do that, you win. Like, I have friends that have launched podcasts, and their only thing they talk about is, and I'm just going to make this up now because there's a million different examples I could give, but it's like how to heal your kidney. Like, that's one podcast. That podcast wins because anybody who has an ill kidney is going to watch that podcast, is going to listen to that content, because that's all you care about. When you have a failing kidney, all you care about is consuming content that's going to help you get one step closer to healing that kidney. And that can be for anything. What about if you want, to do a podcast on yoga? Well, there's a million podcasts on yoga. What else is interesting about what your passions are? Well, what if you're also a vegan? Okay, now that might be more interesting, that you're going to start the Yogi Vegan podcast or the Vegan Yogi podcast. And now guess what? Anybody who's a vegan who also is interested in yoga, are they going to watch just the yoga podcast or just no, they're going to go to your podcast because you're providing the best solution to their problems, which is wanting to learn yoga while also being a vegan, and how you can marry those two lifestyles together. And again, these are just one of a million examples of anything. Like, what are you passionate about? What are you excited about? Okay, that's not enough, because that might just be a hobby. Leo likes to spearfish. If he created a podcast on spearfishing, it might not succeed because that's a hobby. Is that really adding value to people? Well, it could if he also has the other equation, which is, what skills, what knowledge, what value are you adding to the world? That has to be combined in there. Excitement, passion, enthusiasm, skills, knowledge, value. You marry those two together, it's called your zone of fire. That's where your podcast, your content creation has to live. So if all of a sudden Leo's like, okay, you need to use this kind of a tip and this kind of retraction, and like you fish, you go in these waters and you go to this depth. Now there's some real value there. Now people might be interested in just having him regale us of stories of going out, and it's just not going to be something that spear fishermen are going to find exciting, because they need that value add to their life as well. So whenever you're doing that content creation, always be saying to yourself, what value are my listeners getting in this moment in time? Because man, they have a million places to go. They have a million shows they could be watching, a million places they could be consuming their content. You have to deliver value at all times.
All right, there you go. John Lee Dumas. Dude, some great stuff on there. Look, I'm wearing the Attraction Advantage podcast gear right now. Had to travel and just got from the airplane to the hotel. I hadn't even got time to change, but I've got my Attraction Advantage podcast gear on. By the way, that's the Attraction Advantage podcast talking about attraction of real estate agents. Frank Panuto and I do on a weekly basis. So you could pick that up off of Spotify, by the way, and check that out on YouTube too. But John Lee, thank you very much. Tips I'm going to start putting into practice when I'm doing my podcasts on a weekly basis. All right, next up, we have the one and only Alyssa Specht talking about University Spotlight. Take it away, Alyssa.
What's up, everybody? Alyssa Specht here with EXP University, and I am here to tell you everything that is going on with EXPU. And next week's lineup is all about building smarter, avoiding burnout, and learning systems and strategies that create long-term success. So whether you're leading, whether you're attracting, or you're just trying to get your time back, we have got something for you. So here's what's happening next week. Join us on Monday for Level Up with Krista Jenks. She is a mother of 8 and running a top producing real estate business. So if anybody knows how to avoid burnout, it's Krista. She's going to walk you through morning routines that actually work, some calendar hacks for staying in control. And guys, this is a real life productivity session that you can implement today. All right, so let's mosey on over to Thursday, where we're back with another amazing executive masterclass with the amazing Susan McLean. You want to learn to lead like a pro and present like one? Susan is back with a tactical session on building confidence, creating presentations that connect, and training and leading with clarity. So if you are looking to grow your influence and show up stronger in every room, you do not want to miss this one. All right, now let's take a look over to Friday. We're back with another big agent meeting with Noah Ward. Noah Ward is an EXP broker associate, and he's bringing the fire on how to serve clients at a high level and combine real estate and construction and build long-term wealth through custom development. So tune in for that. But guys, we're not done with Friday yet, because we've got Noah Ward part 2 on the Lab podcast. So he's going to go deeper on how his team built a development-first, client-first business. From land acquisition to construction strategy to company culture, this is a blueprint for the long-term, high-impact growth. So guys, tune in, tag your team, set your calendars, and I'll see you there.
All right, there you go, Alyssa. I was so happy to see her last week. She was actually on the Friday Faster Track. She actually got to jump in. I got to watch her talk for a little bit. So it's always great to see you and see you play and engage. By the way, guys, if you didn't catch Leo and John Lee, make sure you jump on the YouTube channel for the rest of that podcast so you get all the details and all the information. Always, they have the replays and the full episodes there. So make sure you jump on YouTube and check that out. All right, so that is our whole show for Friday, September 19th. 2025. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again next week. Check out our QR code. If you want to grab your camera, give us a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Let us know how we did this week. Let us know how you like the new format. And of course, don't hesitate to give us suggestions on what we can do better so we can keep on making the show a better show every single Friday. So there you go. That's the show for this week, September 19th. Stay tuned for iConversations coming up next. I'll see you guys next week.